Now, wasn't that a friggin' debacle last night? Holy shit balls. Leafs in Florida on a one-game road trip. Sunday night, they were the featured matchup on hometown hockey. Mitch Marner had the feature with growing up in Vaughan, Ontario, which is the city that hometown hockey was taking place in and featuring. And the Leafs threw out a complete stinker in Sunrise. Right from the get-go, the Panthers came out with a lot more pace. Their forecheck was causing the Leafs all kinds of problems, and the Leafs just kept turning over the puck, and it led to I don't even think you can count on two hands the number of 2-on-1s the Leafs gave up last night with neutral zone turnovers and just bad decisions, and it just right from the get-go the game was basically over. It was 3-0 after the first period. Just 2.5 minutes into the second, it was suddenly 5-0. Freddie got pulled after the fourth goal, and Hutch came in, and his first two shots he had, I think, both went in. Both were 2-on-1s, like nothing he could do about it. And it just kind of went like that the whole rest of the game. At some points, I thought the Leafs were starting to sort themselves out, and were going to try and take a run at cutting into the lead. Like, the way it went, it was 5-0 just a couple minutes into the second. Hyman scored first for the Leafs to make it 5-1, but then the Panthers scored two more to go up 7-1. And then the Leafs got two more goals in the second from, I believe, Tavares and Marner to make it 7-3, I think it was. And then early in the third period, they scored, or very early, like half a minute in, to make it 7-4. And at that point, I thought, a 3-goal deficit very early in the third period with how quick this team can score, if they were to right the ship and get on it for that whole period, I thought, you know what, this is a possible comeback in the making, which would be massive. But then Florida added on an 8th goal, and that's kind of where things kind of settled in. So you can't blame the goalies at all. They were just left hung up to dry in the rafters with their underwear pulled over their heads, and like, it was just brutal. There were so many 2-on-1s and grade A chances from in tight, and you know, there's nothing you can do about that. And Hutch came in and faced Fred was the weaker of the two goalies. I thought the ones that he let in more so than Hutch's were a little on the softer side. Not that they were soft, but when you consider he's the starting goalie and he usually makes better saves like that, I thought at least one or two of those should have been stopped, but it didn't matter because the Leafs had nothing going anyways. And when Hutch came in, and like I said, I think the first two shots I think he faced went in because of these chances they were giving up, and I was like, oh my god, like let's ruin both of these goalies' confidence moving forward, right? But he settled in and he made some really good saves going through for the rest of the game. And it was a very strange affair because despite losing 8-4 and despite kind of always chasing the play, they somehow grossly outshot the Panthers. I think it was like 47-29 or something like that. And Florida had to block like 5 times the amount of shots that the Leafs blocked. It was so bizarre. Like, I couldn't even... And it didn't seem like they had that many shots, but they must have. And it just, like, it was such a contrast to how the tone of the play and the scoring went in the game compared to how many chances the Leafs apparently had to score versus Florida. So it was a very weird game, very strange all around. And other than that, most of the stats were pretty close. I mean, they got out hit, of course, but the faceoffs were pretty close. And that sort of thing, and all the other key stats seemed to be very close. But yeah, it was just, I found that so puzzling that and I was watching it as the game went along. I was like, how do they have, like, it was pretty close at first, but as the game went on and on, their shots just pulled away, and I'm like, how does this happen? Like, how is this whole game happening? It just doesn't compute to me. So, but yeah, it was just a stinker all around. And it just goes to show you, like, Florida has been struggling for so many years, but they've always had so much potential attached to them with some of the players they have. And I think they're now starting to realize that potential, and the team's starting to really mesh into something special. And this game was important too because the Panthers now that the Leafs, the Bruins, and the Lightning are all kind of log jammed for those top 3 spots in the Atlantic, or whatever the hell their division is called now. But now Florida, I think, going into last night was like 3 or 5 points behind the Leafs, so they're sniffing on the heels, which could knock the Leafs down into a wild card or worse out of the playoffs if they catch up to them. So last night's game was huge for that reason. It's they call it a 4-point game, and it really is, because you gain 2 points and you cause Florida not to gain 2 points. That's a game burn for them where they're not gaining points on you. So, so it was what they call one of those statement games, right? And the statement the Leafs made was a very, very poor one. So, and this is a lot of times when a lopsided loss like this, you just say, well, just forget about it. It's a one-time thing. Let's get back at it and practice next game. But they need to remember this lesson. They need to remember that if you don't come out prepared, no matter what team you're facing, if you don't show up, you don't skate, you don't do the work, you're going to get crushed. Like, it's the NHL. So, and that's a pretty good lesson to learn in that game, because their next game at home on Tuesday is against New Jersey, who's last in their conference. So don't take them lightly, because you're going to get beat by the last place team. And then that will just make what's happened over the last few games even worse. So this is the first time they've lost 3 in a row after Keefe took over as head coach, and they got to stop it at 3 and get back on the winning track. And hopefully, if they take things seriously and get back at it, New Jersey can be the start of something else on the positive side. But we will find out soon enough. Until then, have a great start of the week, and we will be back soon. So long.